today's topic is something that on its face, it seems really obvious, but I didn't really get serious about this topic until, my God, a few years ago, really. And the topic that I'm talking about is your morning routine. And I love this topic because it is an example of how you can apply what we've already been talking about in the first 30 some episodes of the Mel Robbins podcast. Whether you've listened to the Mindset Reset or the conversations we've had with experts about anxiety or healing, or maybe you've dug into the very popular episodes that we've done about habits and motivation. Even when I talk about topics like manifesting, you're starting to get that Mel is one of these people that is very, very intentional about what she does, about what she says. And the reason why I'm that way is because you're not going to change your life by accident. You're not going to become happier by accident. You're not going to become healthier by accident. You're not going to make the money that you deserve by accident. When you make a decision that you deserve more, that you're going to do the work to create a better life, that singular decision will change your life. And what we're going to do today, and I'm so freaking excited about this, is we're going to basically put everything that we've been talking about for several months here on the Mel Robbins podcast into action. And we're going to do that by talking about why a morning routine is so important for your success. And I'm going to start this conversation today by talking about the single biggest hack that has helped me create a rock solid morning routine. In fact, I call my morning routine the $1,000,000 morning because it makes me feel like $1,000,000 when I follow my morning routine. And the structure of a great morning routine is what helps me make millions of dollars. And so, what is the hack that has helped me create such a powerful morning routine? Particularly when your friend Mel Robbins is not exactly a morning person. Well, that single biggest hack about my powerful morning routine is putting myself to bed. Yep, I have an evening routine where I wind down the day and I do a couple simple things to set myself up for success tomorrow. And then, yes, you heard it right here, Mel Robbins tucks herself into bed. And here is the hack. Your morning routine begins the night before. I'm going to say that again. If you want to master a rock solid morning routine, and trust me, you do, your morning routine begins the night before. And this is one of those topics that it's so obvious when you unpack it. Because right now, think about how many mornings you wake up and you bemoan the choices you made last night. How many times have you woken up and you're like, oh, I shouldn't have had so much to drink? Or a friend texts you and there you are at the yoga class you were supposed to meet at. They're like, I'm really sorry. I stayed up really late and, and I overslept and we've all been there. Or what about when you wake up and you literally had fast food at 1 o'clock in the morning on the way home from some event, and now you've got a burrito bomb in your stomach and you're like, I can't do that to myself again. And then what do? You do it to yourself again. What if instead of bemoaning the choices that you made last night, what if you got serious about making sure that the future you, the one that's waking up tomorrow morning, is actually waking up feeling really good? Yeah, you're right. It sucks to wake up and be anxious every morning because you drank almost every night. And the number one symptom of a hangover is freaking anxiety because the chemicals in your body are getting processed. And when the chemicals get processed and you have a dump of cortisol and the dopamine drops and you got the poison of alcohol, of course you have anxiety. Don't sit there and feel anxious. Do something about it. Get serious about the choices you are making the night before and how that impacts you in the morning. And yeah, that includes what you eat, what you drink, but it also includes some other things. And that's what we're going to talk about today. We're going to talk about 5 simple things. These are game changers. These are not rocket science. You don't need a PhD to understand this, but let me tell you something. When you put this into practice, you will experience a level of Holy shit, transformation that is hard to put into words because the decisions that you make at night determine who you are when you wake up in the morning. And you have a choice every evening to either set the future you up for success, for ease, for structure, for confidence, for winning, or you can make decisions in the evening that set you up to feel like shit, to be behind, to have a ton of stuff to do that you could have done last night. Your decisions determine everything. And so I really want to rattle the cage today and get you to think differently about the night. I know that your days are stressful. Mine are too. That's why so many of us engage in what's called revenge procrastination at night, which is basically this concept where you feel resentful of the fact that work took up your entire day. And now you're going to get revenge by mindlessly scrolling at night or plowing through a bottle of wine or doing nothing to set yourself up because you're tired or you're mad and you deserve to relax. I agree, you do deserve to relax. But if you were to just do these 5 things that I'm going to recommend, you would have time to relax, but you would also set the you that's going to wake up tomorrow morning up for a clean slate day where you wake up, you feel great, you're set up for success, and that is going to be a positive domino that literally triggers a ton of positive stuff to happen every day. That's what we're talking about. Because the choices you make at night determine whether or not the next day is going to be easy and empowering, or whether or not you are going to wake up to a morning like the old Mel Robbins used to wake up to. And whether you're aware of it or not, I just want you to stop and consider something. Right now in your life, you already have an evening routine in place. You already have a morning routine. And today, because the big hack is understanding that a great morning routine starts the night before, you and I are going to focus on your current evening routine. And I, as your friend, am going to challenge you to change it. So let's do a quick experiment. Okay? I want you just to stop, think about the night in front of you, and be honest. What does the average evening in your current life look like? I'll go first because back when I was really struggling, the old Mel, I now realize how much my evening routine was contributing to the fact that I was struggling so much. So here's what the old Mel's evening routine looked like many years ago. I would either come home from work or I would roll downstairs from working on my laptop all day and I'd crack open a bottle of wine. I'd cook dinner by trying to throw something together that was in the fridge because I hadn't really planned anything. I'd throw a load of laundry in here and there. And then you know what I'd do? I'd basically slump down on the couch and I'd start scrolling through social media. After dinner and helping the kids with the homework, you might find the old Mel Robbins just sort of laying there on the couch with the bottle half drained, glass of wine in hand. I got a movie or some series on the television. I got my phone in my hand. I'm zoning out. I'm scrolling along. During the commercials, the old Mel Robbins, I'd probably turn to Chris, complain about my day. Then I'd look over at the kitchen and I'd see that the counters were full of crap from the dinner that we had cooked or from the backpacks that we had emptied or the laptops that we had put there. The kids' homework was typically sprawled out among the island. And I would say to myself this was the routine of the old Mel Robbins. I should probably clean that up over the next commercial break. And I'd say that over and over again. I should probably pack their lunches. I should probably turn off the TV and read a book. I should probably move the laundry from the washer to the dryer so it doesn't sit there for 5 days and then get that disgusting, damp old towel smell to it. And then I have to rewash it again. I know you do that too. And all of a sudden, it would be almost 11 o'clock before I knew it. I would have polished off that bottle of wine. I'd get up and I'd clear off the counters and put most of the dishes into the sink, a few of them into the dishwasher. I'd do my favorite cleaning trick, which is instead of scrubbing and cleaning the pans that I had cooked dinner in, I'd just fill them up with warm soapy water and let them soak. because I'd tell myself it's going to be easier to clean them in the morning if they soak all night. Now, by this point, I'm exhausted. I'm buzzed on the wine. I'm tired from a long day. I kind of resent the fact that I have more to do and it's now 11:15, and I'd start to tell myself, "Well, I'll just pack the kids' lunches tomorrow." And then I would turn off the lights, I'd let the dog out one more time, I'd lock the doors, and I would collapse into bed with my phone. Now, it would take the old Mel Robbins a little time to fall asleep. Why? Because while I was laying there with Chris sound asleep next to me, I would scroll through my phone, I would check out social media, I'd read the news, and eventually I would zone out. And as I was lying there, I'd feel kind of annoyed that Chris had gone to bed earlier. He had already drifted off to sleep. And at some point, I'd realize, oh my God, it's like almost 1 o'clock in the morning. How did it get so late? For all my fellow procrastinators out there, you know, those of us who pulled all nighters in college, who thought, tomorrow is a great day to pack the bags, to start my workout routine, to clean up the kitchen, to set myself up for success. Tomorrow is the day when the new me will emerge from my beauty sleep tonight. I will shake off that hangover from the bottle of wine that I've had. I'll pop a couple Advil and I will make a fresh start. Tomorrow is the fresh start. That was the old Mel Robbins. I used to have all kinds of stories about myself for why it is that, I just couldn't get my act together. Oh, it's just so hard for me to wind down after a long workday. I have trouble falling asleep. I need a glass of wine or two or three or four in order to relax and to fall asleep. And, I'm just not a morning person. That's why I can't get up earlier. I don't know why I wake up and I feel anxious and slightly hungover, but, I'm just not the kind of person that ever just springs out of bed. And I got so much work that I just want to relax at night. What's the big deal? And the problem with this is that my nights did not set me up to have a relaxing morning. Let me tell you what the old Mel Robbins life was like. Thank God Chris is not on this episode because he would really describe it in a way that makes me feel like a loser. I would set several alarms on my phone. The first one to go off at 5:45, but that's not actually when I'm getting up. That's just alarm number 1. And then I'd set another alarm for about, 6 o'clock. And then I'd set another one for 6:15, and then another one for 6:30, and then another one for 6:45, which was kind of the time that I felt like I needed to get out of bed because that's only 45 minutes to get 3 kids out the door and lunch is packed and everything cleaned up. But I'd usually honestly roll out of bed at the last alarm, which was like the emergency alarm, which was 7:15. Sound familiar? Don't tell me you don't do this. You do this. And I want you to just consider, what does that act of setting multiple alarms say to your subconscious? Think about what those actions communicate to you. I'll tell you what they communicated about the old Mel Robbins. Waking up is hard. Getting up is hard. Mornings are hard. Life is an obligation. Being in bed is better than being awake. I don't want to get out of bed. I don't want to start my day. There is nothing I'm looking forward to today. I have nothing to get out of bed for that actually makes me happy, which is why this is going to be a slow death march for me of alarms that are summoning me to roll out of this warm bed and actually start this day. I wasn't a morning person because the old Mel Robbins chose not to be one. The old Mel Robbins literally did absolutely nothing the night before to set herself up for success. If you think about all the choices that I was making, because deciding to just zone out in front of TV, that's a choice. Leaving the dishes for tomorrow morning, that's a choice. Not packing lunches to set yourself up for success, that's a choice. That is part of your routine. And if you don't watch it, you're going to become like the old Mel Robbins. You're going to be making your life harder for yourself without even realizing it. And one of the main reasons why I kept doing it is because I kept telling myself, I'm so tired. I don't want to have to do anything. I've worked all day. And by doing that, I was just making it harder. Now, thankfully, I finally had this turning point when I realized I don't want my mornings to be a 5 alarm fire drill. because there is nothing fun about waking up late and feeling frustrated and then being stressed at your kids and then yelling at them to move faster because you yourself didn't get up on time and then scrambling to pack the lunches and the drama that comes with that and then trying to get them to eat when you haven't even prepared anything and then finding that permission slip that they needed that you signed last night but you didn't put it in a place that you could find it simply because you were not thinking about the fact that you deserve to wake up in a powerful way. You deserve to complete your day in a way that supports you. I didn't have to race out the door. I didn't have to start my day mad at my husband, frustrated by the frenzy, going from literally sleeping to a panic attack every single morning and then hopping in the car to commute to work to see that, oh my God, I have zero gas in the tank because I was too tired when I drove home last night to stop and I just wanted to get home. So I didn't fill up the tank and now I'm running late and now I'm on the highway and I'm pulling on at the exact time that traffic literally doubles. Why do I keep doing this to myself? And here's something interesting. Doesn't it make sense that if I start my day like that, I'm probably making myself more stressed and tired all day long? That crazy morning is like a domino that falls. And it triggers more stress and more being behind and more draining energy so that you're constantly feeling like you're always reacting because you are, because you set it up that way. I know this because I lived it for years. And I just kept saying all the disempowering thing. Why can't I be like it? Why don't I have discipline? Why don't I do this? And I didn't understand how to break this down in a way that not only makes sense, but it's supported by the research. And I think I was rolling home completely spent, not because work was long, not because the day was stressful, but because my entire experience of waking up and starting the day had started that way. That I was looking forward to that bottle of wine the second the kids got on the bus because I had spent the 45 minutes I was awake running around like the Tasmanian devil. And I'm here to tell you there is an easier way. And that brings me back to this hack. You can make this easier. You can be a different person. Your morning routine is everything when it comes to success and happiness and putting yourself first and finding the time that you deserve to focus on what matters to you. And that incredible morning routine has to begin the night before. That's the hack. And that's what changed everything for me. I am not the old Mel Robbins. In fact, just describing what my life used to be like is giving me a stomach ache when I think about how much unnecessary stress and drama I created for myself, for my kids, for my husband. It wasn't fun for anybody. And so I'm not like that anymore. I am a completely different person because I decided I wanted to be a completely different person. And you don't have to be a Navy SEAL. You don't have to be a competitive athlete. You don't have to run a $1 billion company to understand that setting yourself up the night before is the secret to waking up and having a great morning. And when you have a great morning, it's easier to have a great day. That's how this builds. And so that's what we're going to talk about. How do you end the day? How do you wind things down and put yourself to bed? I want you to stop and think about something. You already have a routine about how you shut down your house or your apartment. Think about it. Do you ever go to bed and not lock the door? No. Do you go to bed and turn the lights off? Of course you turn the lights off. Do you, like, make sure your pets are where they need to be? Of course you do. Do you shut the refrigerator? Yes, you do. Do you turn off the TV? Of course you do. All of these things that you do to turn off and shut down the house at night. You have a routine about what you physically do in your space or your home. You lock the front door, you turn off the lights, maybe you put your dog in a crate, you brush your teeth, you kiss the kids goodnight, you read them a book. you turn off the television, you put on your PJs. There is this shutting down that you do that is routine. You don't even think about it. And I think about it, it's almost like we're putting the house to bed. It's easy to think about the list of things that you do without even being conscious of it when it comes to your physical environment. What I want to talk to you about today is what are the things that you and I can do to help you do that emotionally and psychologically? And I want to give you one more example for why a routine is so empowering when you get very intentional about it. Have you ever gone to bed? Maybe you're feeling sick or you've been up too late or whatever, or your kids come in later and you wake up in the morning and all the lights are on downstairs? It's so disorienting because you're like, wait a minute, why are the lights on? I always turn the lights off. It's so weird when that happens. It feels like something's wrong. What if I told you you can get to the point where your evening routine and the series of the 5 things that I want you to do becomes so automatic, so easy that when you don't do these things, it's disorienting. That's how important this is. So, in just a minute, I'm going to walk you through the 5 things that the current Mel Robbins does every single night. This is my evening routine, and the philosophy behind it is all about making my mornings easier. It's all about setting myself up for success and creating a rhythm and a routine and a structure to my evenings that gives me a sense of confidence, that helps me set the Mel Robbins that's waking up tomorrow morning up for success and ease, and that also makes me an amazing sleeper because this routine and the structure of it signals to my subconscious brain that we're winding down here. Just like we lock the front door and it's time to go to bed, we're turning out the lights, it's time to go to bed. You are going to do a series of things that signal to your brain and to your mind that it is time to turn it off and to tuck yourself in. Like, I think a lot about how when I was growing up, I had a very, very strict bedtime routine. My parents were not dummies. They did not want me up late. There was no negotiation. After dinner, we had to go right upstairs and we got into a hot bath. Why? Well, because we were dirty, but also because it makes you kind of drowsy, right? It's sort of like you just do it every night. It's signaling to you, the kid, that, okay, we're in our evening routine now. We're getting into the bedtime routine. And then I'd pull on my little footed PJs and I'd zip them up, and we get a little bit of time downstairs to either play or watch one TV show. And then what would we do? We'd be right back upstairs. We'd be getting a bedtime story read to us. And then our parents would tuck us in, kiss us on the forehead or the cheek, and we were going to bed. That bedtime routine became this rhythm that created safety and structure and ease, something you can depend upon. And so I want you to join me in getting serious about your evening routine starting tonight. I want you to embrace the fact that your mornings will be 100 times better if you set yourself up for success starting tonight. I promise to share the 5 simple steps that I have put into action in my own life, and here they are. Step number 1, use the 3-2-1 rule. The 3-2-1 rule is very simple. Here it is. 3 hours before bedtime, stop eating and drinking alcohol. 2 hours before bedtime, stop working. And 1 hour before bedtime, shut down the screens. You do the 3-2-1 rule, you're going to get a great night's sleep, and you're not going to be so stressed. I'm going to repeat it one more time. This is the 3-2-1 rule, and it taps into all kinds of research about getting a better night's sleep, about stress, about your mind being able to be calmer so you can get a better night's sleep, and about the impact on screens and blue light on your ability to get a good night's sleep. So here it is. 3 hours before bedtime, you are going to stop eating and drinking alcohol. And for me, because I go to bed early, that meant we had to move the dinner time a little bit earlier. Second, 2 hours before bedtime, stop working. Stop working. One of the reasons why you may have trouble sleeping or relaxing or stopping racing thoughts, or you may be waking up in the middle of the night, is because you're working too close to your bedtime. So your thoughts are spinning and your stress level is high. So 2 hours before bed, stop working. And finally, 1 hour before bed, you got to shut down the screen time. The blue light on your screens, your laptop, your phone, it is interfering with your brain's ability to shut down and sleep. So the 3-2-1 rule will make a huge difference in your life. Second, this rule I call how can you make things easier for yourself? Let me unpack this. When I look back on periods of my life where it was a real struggle to stick to habits or to stay calm and confident, it was because I was making my life harder. I was relying on willpower or discipline or remembering to do things. And when it dawned on me, hey, there are simple things that you could do, Mel, that would make your life a hell of a lot easier, especially in the morning. There are decisions that you could make at night. There are simple things that you could do in order to take a step, in order to move the ball down the field at night. So when you wake up in the morning, you don't have to do so much thinking. So let me give you some examples of this. One way that I make my life easier in the morning is every single night, I lay my exercise clothes out on the floor in my bedroom or heck, even in the hotel. So I've been on a business trip now. This is day 15 of a business trip hitting 6 different cities. And I move my body every day. And I know if I'm going to get up at 6 o'clock in the morning in a hotel, I don't want to be fumbling around in the dark looking for the pair of tights that are actually clean instead of having to turn the clothes inside out to figure out what I could put on my body. Do not do that in the morning. You're creating too much resistance. It requires too much energy and thinking. Make it easier. The night before, as you're walking around your hotel room, brushing your teeth or you're washing your face or what, just lay your exercise clothes out on the floor. Make it easier. That way they're there for you in the morning. You don't even have to think about it. Isn't that fantastic? And if you've raised kids, how do you make mornings easier with kids? You pack their lunches the night before. You assemble their backpacks by the door. You put their hockey sticks or their tennis rackets or their cleats, the things that they need to remember, right there. For you and me, here's how you can do that for yourself as an adult. Let's say you have a commitment every single morning as part of your morning routine to journal more or to drink more water. Here's a great idea. Put the water bottle filled up by the coffee pot. Put the journal where you're going to do your journaling exercises by the coffee pot. Why? Well, because you're going to make a cup of coffee tomorrow morning. So have it ready there so you don't have to make the cup of coffee and then go, oh, wait a minute, I was going to, where did I put that journal? Is it in the back? Where's the backpack? No, it's right there. Have your things by the door. Put healthy foods in the front of the fridge. Have a little dish that you always put your car keys in. We talked about this concept of make it easier in the episode that we did all about habits. That episode was called 5 Essential Hacks I'm Using to Make New Habits Stick. You guys ate that episode up. We will put a link to it in the show notes here. But this make it easier for yourself. Do it the night before. It's all about something called activation energy. When you lay your exercise clothes out, when you put your water bottle by the coffee maker, when you pack lunches the night before, it takes less energy than having to do it when you're stressed out in the morning. You don't even have to think about it. You've set yourself up for success. And that means you're going to be less stressed. And it means the thing that you might blow off, if it's hard in the morning, like exercise, you're more likely to get it done. Why? Because you've made it easier for you. You have supported the new you. How cool is this? It's like a little gift that you're giving yourself. The third rule is give yourself a clean slate. I also like to call this flushing the toilet, okay? Like when you go to bed at night, you flush the toilet when you use it, right? But why? Because you do not want the mess from last night there to greet you in the morning. So why on earth would you do that in your kitchen? Empty the sink. load the dishwasher, clear off the counters, wipe them down. Why? Well, logic. Tomorrow morning, after you wake up and you go to the bathroom, where's the first place we all go in our apartment or our home? We go to the kitchen. Would you rather see a kitchen that has last night's dishes, pots soaking in the sink, and stuff scattered all over the place from yesterday, all of which is unfinished business from yesterday? Or would you feel more empowered if you walked into the kitchen and the counters were clear and things were organized and there was nothing that you needed to clean up? The answer is obvious. Do not take today's messes into tomorrow. Do not saddle the future you with crap that the you today should be doing tonight. And that's always been a huge thing for me, because if I walk into the kitchen in the morning and I see a ton of dirty dishes or I see stuff all over the island, it's a trigger. And my day goes downhill because I'm immediately distracted. I'm immediately feeling like everybody's made. I'm immediately feeling like I should have done this last night. I should have put these dishes. Now this pot that has been soaking in the sink with all of the suds in it, the suds are gone and the water is ice cold and disgusting and oily. I don't want to put my hands in that. And half the stuff hasn't soaked off anyway. And so I didn't make it easier. I actually made it harder and grosser and more disgusting. And now it takes me even more time. So this idea for me of clearing the counters, no dishes in the sink, nothing on the counters, it means I am waking up to a brand new clean slate today, both metaphorically, visually, everything. And so how can you do this? Think about this as part of the non-negotiables when you turn off the lights and lock the front door. Do a quick loop through the kitchen and take 5 lousy minutes to pull it together. Clear off the counters, get everything in the dishwasher, or finish the dishes, get it done. Because I promise you, psychologically, walking into a physically clean slate helps you mentally feel like you've been given the gift of one when you wake up in the morning. Now, the fourth rule, you're going to get intentional about setting your alarm. And here's how you do it. There is no old Mel Robbins going on here. There is no 5 alarms that you're setting as you coax yourself out of bed. There is no backup plan here. Get intentional. What freaking time do you need to get up? Like, for real. Let's not do the fake math that a lot of us do where we think that we can brush our teeth, commute to work, pack 3 lunches, and finish last night's homework in a matter of 10 minutes. You can't do that, okay? You just can't. So tonight when you set your alarm, I want you to make a decision about the person you are becoming. I'm going to say that again. Tonight when you set your alarm, make a decision about the person you are becoming. Tonight, be very intentional about what you truly need to start your day feeling supported, confident, at ease. How much time do you need to truly put yourself first, take care of your health, and put a little bit of time into something that matters to you? Now, I want to just pause on this for just a second, okay? I think this is where most of us get it wrong. That your alarm has probably been set for the same time for years, and you haven't stopped to truly think about the person that you're becoming. And when you think about the person that you want to become in this next chapter of your life, what does that person's morning routine look like? How much time do you truly want? And look, I get it. You might have to wake up 45 minutes earlier. I get it. You might not be a morning person. And I'm going to prove to you as we get to know each other that you don't have to be. You don't have to be a morning person. And you can still create a rock solid evening routine and a rock solid morning routine. You don't have to be a morning person, and you can learn and support yourself in getting up 30 minutes earlier because that is how much time you need in order to set your day up for success. And see, I think a lot of us really lose the opportunity of a fresh start and a new morning and the structure of that because we're not intentional and honest with ourselves about what we actually need. And what I've come to learn, the more intentional that I get with myself, is I need a lot of time in the morning. I need more time than the old Mel Robbins was giving herself because I not only need time to roll out of bed and to brush my teeth and to high five the mirror and to move my body and to set my intention and to make some progress and to do all that before I help Chris or the kids or the dogs or anybody else that works for me or anybody else that follows me or anything else that might be on my phone, that I need actually, if I'm being honest, I need about 90 minutes. I can get it done in 30 in a pinch, but I need about 90 if I don't want to be rushed, if I don't want to be resentful, if I don't want the things that I really need to do so that I can start my day feeling powerful and empowered. That's truly what I need. And you may be thinking, well, that's a luxury. We're not even talking about the morning. I want you to be honest with yourself. And I want you to ask yourself this question: what time do you truly need to wake up? To make it easier, to support yourself. What would the future you say? And if you can't think of a time, I'll give you one. Set your alarm 1 hour earlier than you normally do. Because this is more than a wake up call. This is more than setting an alarm. What I'm asking you to do is I'm asking you to make a promise. Because when you set the alarm clock tonight, what you're really doing is you're making a promise to yourself. You're making a promise that you, when that alarm rings, you're going to wake up, you're going to get up, and you're going to get going. And this is why it's important for you to be intentional, not casual about setting that alarm, but intentional. Because tonight, when you set that alarm clock, you're making a promise. And when you look at it that way, when that alarm rings tomorrow morning, it's about keeping that promise to yourself. That's what the act of waking up becomes. That the evening you set up the future you, the tomorrow you, the person you're becoming with a clean slate and a promise for how much time it is that you truly need and deserve every morning. And if you can start to flip how you think about that alarm, how you set it, and what it signals when it sounds in the morning, that future you is here, a promise is there to be kept, it will shift what you think about the opportunities of the morning and the time that you need to truly honor yourself and put yourself first. Now, before we get to the final rule, which is a beautiful rule that you're going to hate like crazy, but it's the most powerful one of all, I need to take a quick break. We're going to hear a word from our sponsors, and then we'll be right back. So don't go anywhere. Hey, it's your friend Mel, and we are talking today about the singular hack that helped me create a rock solid $1 million morning routine. And that singular hack, as you now know, is you got to have a rock solid evening routine. And so we've covered 4 of the 5 things that I do. We've talked about the 3-2-1 rule. We've talked about this mindset flip of how can I make things easier for myself? We've also talked about the importance of giving yourself a physical clean slate so you can have a mental clean slate. Finally, we just covered the importance of getting super intentional about setting your alarm and considering it a promise that you are making and keeping with your future self. And finally, number 5, before you tuck yourself in, tuck your phone into the bathroom. That's right, no phone in the bedroom. I want it in the bathroom, in the closet, in the kitchen. Once everything else is handled, the only thing that is allowed on that clear counter in the kitchen is your phone plugged in. Because I have one rule that has changed my life. And that rule is something I do every single evening. It is a critical part of my evening routine. And that is there is no phone in the bedroom, period. And starting tonight, I want you to try this. It's a lot harder than it seems. You are about to realize how addicted you are to your phone. You are also going to see firsthand how it interferes with your ability to have a powerful evening routine. You're also going to see firsthand how it is likely interfering with your ability to fall asleep and stay asleep. So, before you tuck yourself in, tuck that phone in anywhere but the bedroom. And here's how this is going to work. So, all you're going to do is just pick a spot that you're going to charge your phone overnight. And for those of you that have kids that need to reach you or a job that needs to reach you, I totally get that. I'm the same. So here's how you deal with that: you turn the ringer on and you tell everybody in your life, I don't sleep with my phone, but the ringer is on. If you have an emergency, call me. You will hear the phone ringing in the middle of the night. And what's really interesting, ever since I've done this, and I've now done this for years, is that people don't call you in the middle of the night unless it's truly an emergency, but they will text and Snapchat you all night long, and that'll keep you awake. Don't tell me that it doesn't. And so this way, you know that you can fall asleep and that somebody can reach you, but you're not going to be distracted by it because it's not going to be near you. So that's number one. If you use your phone as an alarm, excellent. I do too. And the good news about that is that if your phone is outside of the bedroom and it's also your an alarm and it's also your alarm, when it goes off in the morning, you have no choice but to get out of bed. And so I kind of like that hack, even though in the moment I hate that hack when I hear the alarm going off. But you could also just buy a cheap alarm clock or use a watch or something else if you're no longer using your phone as an alarm. So, why do I feel this way? I feel so strongly about this because you've just spent your entire day letting the whole world have access to you, because that's what you're doing when you're watching the news or responding to email or sitting on Zoom calls or you're just scrolling mindlessly through social media. You are allowing the world to steal your attention, to choke your brain power with things that really don't matter. And honestly, there is nothing on your phone that is going to help you sleep tonight. The stuff that's on your phone is going to get you stressed out. It's going to get you worked up. It's going to make you stay awake. And that's why you can't have it near you. You can't trust yourself. And so, in order to properly wind down and get a great night's sleep, which you need to do, I won't even get into the research about why you need to start becoming a better sleeper, is we have to get the one thing that's been robbing you of your attention and energy all day away from you. Do not let people have access to you once you get into your bedroom. Do not let the thing that you gave your attention to all day long be the thing that is distracting you at night. You deserve a great night's sleep, and you are just not going to get it if that phone is sitting next to you on the bedside table. And don't lie to me. Like, we're friends at this point. The majority of us sleep with our phones. I shouldn't even say us because I do not. But the majority of people, including you, have that phone in your bed. It's right there. You look at it and you want to know something disgusting? A third of people check email in the middle of the night. What are you doing? Email in the middle of the night? Even if you can't sleep, what are you doing? This is sick. And what I will tell you is if that phone is not in that bed with you and it's not on the bedside table and you can't just reach for it because it's a habit for you to reach for it when it bzzz and buzzes and notifications, or because you can't sleep, oh, I'll just look at my phone. What a stupid idea. Because it's not there, you're not going to do it. And so there's a reason why you're having trouble sleeping. There's a reason why you wake up stressed out. There's a reason why you never have time for yourself. It's because you have shot yourself in the foot before you've even closed your eyes by having that phone there. I think you can tell I'm getting a little worked up. And I'm getting a little worked up because I didn't have to make my life so hard. I didn't have to stress my kids out every day before they climbed on that bus. I didn't have to start my day by yelling at Chris or screaming at the dogs or getting stuck in traffic or starting the day feeling frustrated. I didn't have to do that. And the solution to an empowering morning and to feeling supported starts with how you show up for yourself the night before. It is really that simple. And I'm frustrated because I wasted so many years of my life by making things way more difficult than they needed to be. If I had just gotten serious about these 5 simple things that I do now, I would have felt more in control. I would have been a lot more calm. I would have felt like I was a good mom and a supportive partner. I wouldn't have felt so much frustration. Like there's just so much available to you if you get serious tonight. And I love all of these changes, whether you're going to implement the 3-2-1 rule. And one way that you could do that is to put an alarm in your phone that counts you down. You could put Post-it notes on the fridge to remind you about this stuff. But I want you to try it. And thinking about taking care of yourself tonight is not going to be the same as trying a new evening routine. And I know this is hard. And so today we're going to focus on the components of $1 million morning routine. And these are all based on research. And the thing I want you to think about is this. I really believe in something called behavioral activation therapy. And said very simply, behavioral activation therapy is the concept that if you want to change, if you want to be a better you, just start acting like the person that you want to be in the future right now in your to day life. That the actions that you take today are what will turn you into the person that you want to become. And look, I know you have a vision for yourself. There is a version of you that you hold in your heart and in your mind that you see that is a better version of the person than you are right now. The you that has a better, more fulfilling job or career, the you that is truly enjoying a deeper connection in your relationship or marriage, the you that has better eating habits, better physical habits, the you that really is experiencing a better connection to the meaning and purpose in your life. That life that you envision, you're capable of achieving it. You can do the work to make that version of yourself a reality, but it's not going to happen out of thin air. You got to put in the work. And I personally believe that that work begins first thing in the morning. That every single morning you can wake up and experience a clean slate. You can wake up and you can create a morning routine. Not that the you right now likes, but the morning routine that the future you needs. And the bottom line is whether you consider yourself to be a morning person or not, a morning routine is essential. A morning routine is like the first domino. Let's just agree that every single day of your life, you wake up and you have the opportunity to create a new experience in your life. And that first series of decisions that you make, which are basically your morning routine, it's like the beginning domino that falls. And if your morning routine sucks, like my morning routine used to suck, the first domino that falls in your day is procrastination, stress, anxiety, depression, suckiness. And that tends to trigger a whole lot more of that. Now, let's talk about the other option. Have you ever had a morning where you rolled out of bed because you had to be somewhere? You actually met a friend at the gym, and the exercise class was not only not that bad, it was kind of fun, and you felt really energized and proud of yourself for going? And you were set up for the meeting that you had, you were prepared. What's it like when that domino falls? It feels good, doesn't it? It makes you feel confident and alive and proud of yourself. It kind of creates this energy and this motion in your life. And that brings me to a simple statement. The solution to almost all the problems in your life is your morning routine. If you were to get serious about creating a morning routine that makes you feel like $1 million, that sets you up with the structure and momentum and positive choices that act like a domino that send you into your day feeling like you have started the day off with a bang, checking the right boxes, getting it done, feeling proud, putting yourself first. Imagine how the rest of your day flows. You see, how you set your day up is how it ends up. Say it again. How you set your day up is how it ends up. And if you are serious about making more money or making change stick or getting things done or just feeling happier or finally learning how to put yourself on the list, let's get laser focused on your morning routine. Because when you get laser focused on your morning routine and setting yourself up for success from the get go, it's pretty amazing what flows from there. And so before we get into the components of my $1,000,000 morning, I want to tell you about the old Mel. And for those of you that listened to the episode that we did about how to create an evening routine that truly sets you up for success in the morning, you have heard part of this. But the old Mel was a complete flipping disaster. I don't even recognize the sad sack of a human being that I used to be. I was addicted to my excuses. I was addicted to my alcohol at night. I was addicted to feeling miserable and to complaining about my problems. In fact, you want to know the first decision I made every single day for years? Decades, in fact. The very first decision that the old Mel Robbins used to make, I'd hit the snooze button. Now let's just stop and unpack that, okay? You wake up, the alarm goes off, the sun is out, you have a brand new day in front of you. There are people around the world that died in the middle of their sleep last night. They didn't get another day. But you, my friend, you got another day. And instead of waking up, getting up, making the most of the next 24 hours of your life, you know what the old Mel Robbins used to do? Eh. Hitting the snooze button is procrastination in its biggest form. But you're not procrastinating on a paper. You're not procrastinating on a project. You're not procrastinating on a call or a chore. You're procrastinating on your fucking life. You're basically going, the first decision I'm going to make today in this miraculous thing called life is to not do it. I'm just going to avoid it altogether. I have the option to make the most of this time. I have the option to put myself first. I have the option to move my body, to practice mindfulness, to go outside and listen to the birds. But you know what I think I'm going to do? I think I'm going to procrastinate. I think I'm going to avoid it. I think I'm going to roll over. I think I'm going to just opt out. And for me, I can now see that since the first decision I made was to avoid doing what I needed to do, it's so fucking obvious why I was a chronic procrastinator, because I began every day like that. And as you hit the snooze button and you avoid facing your life and you avoid facing the day, you're not feeling confident. You're not feeling energized. You're not feeling in control and empowered. You are basically embodying your excuses, your fears, your anxiety, your frustration, your fatigue. It all begins with the decision you make first thing in the morning. I believe that. And the reason why I'm being overly dramatic about this is because one of my biggest problems in life is that I avoided the hard stuff. I had a million reasons why I couldn't fix things or get a new job or pay off my bills or why I couldn't make things better or why my husband was to blame. And so if you're sick of your excuses, if you're sick of snoozing on your dreams, if you are sick and tired of letting procrastination and doubt and overthinking and anxiety run your life, let's talk about your fucking morning routine. Because let me tell you what the life of a chronic snooze button person looks like. It begins in the morning. You hit the snooze button. 4 or 5 times. That was me. I'd stare at the ceiling, think about my problem, snooze, snooze, snooze. And the rest of the day, guess what else I was doing? Snooze, snooze, snooze on the problems. Avoiding the phone call I needed to make. That's hitting the snooze button on that. Avoiding the networking I needed to do. That's hitting the snooze button there. Avoiding the hard conversation I needed to have. That's hitting the snooze button there. Blowing off the gym. Another snooze button. It's not just about how you wake up. It's how you wake up, how you set up the day. That's how it ends up. The snooze button, that is just one example of the series of disastrous choices I would make for myself. Whether it was hitting the snooze button 5 or 6 times, waking up late, not giving myself enough time, skipping breakfast, never having time to exercise, never being organized about anything. It was just honestly a nightmare. And I always say you are one decision away from a different life. And one of the things that has changed my life is deciding that I didn't want to do that anymore. That hitting the snooze button every single morning was not going to help me change my life. So when I finally got serious about first getting out of bed, and then secondly, creating a small series of promises that I make and keep to myself every single morning, it was a game changer. You distinguish between routines and to-do lists. Can you explain that?
Sure. So I, as a project person, I would look around my house and think, "Ooh, I'm changing today. Today's the day. This is it." Right. And so I would make a list of all the things I needed to do. Well, just looking at that list of all the things I needed to do was completely exhausting. Right. So the way I actually started to change my home was by just focusing on what I had always thought of as maintenance tasks. And it didn't make sense for me to do maintenance things when my house was a disaster. I was like, no, I need to get my house perfect. Then it will make sense to maintain. But instead, I was like, well, that's not working. But I do know that other people don't have to spend hours in their kitchen getting the kitchen clean when it's time to clean the house. And I do. And so I'm going to so I started on these very basic things. And so I started with doing the dishes. I was like, I don't know how other people don't seem to have dirty dishes piled on their counter at all times, but they don't. And so I am going to focus on this. And so I started working on the dishes. I started working on, just focused in on that, and would take about 7 days is what I found to be like, okay, now I get it. Now it's starting to feel natural. And then I would move on to another thing. And so I was adding daily habits, and that is what changed my house. That plus decluttering, not organizing, not decorating, not anything, but daily stuff plus decluttering gave me the house that I'd always wanted. So I boiled it down to two very basic habits. Okay. Really, there are 4 that I talk about in how to manage your home without losing your mind. But if you can't do those, you just do these 2. And if you can't do both, you just do 1. And the first one is do the dishes. So it's like, even when I start to feel completely overwhelmed and I'm like, do the dishes. Like I hear from people all the time. Like I hear your voice all the time saying, just do the dishes. That gives me something to do to get started. Then the next thing is the 5-minute pickup. Okay. If I will do that, even if my house is a disaster right now, I'm not going to get it perfect first and then start doing 5-minute pickups. I'm just going to do a 5-minute pickup every day at the least. Right. And then declutter with any time that I have.
Great. What's the third routine?
Yes. Checking the bathrooms for clutter. Is another one. I'm not even talking about like cleaning it. I'm not talking about cleaning it. I'm just talking about checking it for clutter. Make sure that, when it's time to clean it, all I have to do is clean it. It's not like covered, like you were talking about your bathroom counter, stuff like that. And then the other one is sweep the kitchen floor. It's not so much about the crumbs. It's more about an action that helps me see what has been scattered on the floor. Like the groceries where I took the frozen stuff and the refrigerated stuff out, and then I left the other stuff on the floor and it's been there for a couple of days, or whatever. So it's a routine that helps me keep my house under. If I will do those 4 things, my house looks fine. It's not perfect, but it looks fine if I will do those. And so what I found was I wanted to boil it down so far that I didn't need a list. So I don't have to say, oh, wow, my house is overwhelming. I need to make a new plan. Instead, I just say, my house is overwhelming. I'm going to do the dishes. Doing the dishes significantly improves my home.
Hey, it's Mel. Thank you so much for checking this video out. And if you like this one, I have a feeling you're going to like this one too. I'll see you there.